Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our third session of today's Training Industry Learning Tech Showcase, Coaching and Learner Support Tools, sponsored by Admired Leadership, CloudShare, Corporate Visions, and Integrity Solutions. So again, I'm Liz Spade, the Events Marketing Specialist here at Training Industry, and I'm thrilled to have you with us here today. While you guys are trickling in, before I get started, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speakers and get the most out of today's session. So again, feel free to continue to use that chat window for any comments as well as submitting questions. Please do not hesitate to plug your questions throughout. We have Abby here who will be kind of moderating the chat, addressing questions throughout. But again, if we don't get to your question today, the CloudShare team will be reaching out accordingly. And once the session ends, a brief survey will appear in your browser. Please take your moment to share your feedback on the session and speakers. And all of our sessions are being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email from us that will include the link to the on-demand program for you to share with your team. So if this is your first Training Industry event, we would love to welcome you. We exist to make connections among learning and development professionals, and we offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D, like live events like today's showcase, as well as articles on our website, our membership, our magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcasts. We would also love to hear about what you've learned from today's session on social media, so please follow us on your favorite platform so we can continue the conversation. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our third speakers today. We have Abby Preble, the head of marketing at CloudShare, and then Michael Shammas, the solutions engineer here at CloudShare. So with that, Abby, take it away.
Thanks, Liz. Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We're glad that you are here and that you decided to spend some time with us. We're super excited to dive into what completion rates miss about learner competency. Goodness gracious. So to give you a brief overview of who CloudShare is, we are a virtual hands-on labs platform. So whether you're training your team, your customers, you can do demos, POCs, whether you offer instructor-led courses or self-directed courses. CloudShare enables users to get a real-world experience through interactive training and demo environments. So it's not just sitting and watching a PowerPoint. It's getting into the program and interacting with it in real time. So as Liz said, I'm Abby. I'm head of marketing at CloudShare. I've been specializing in driving strategic growth for B2B organizations for over 13, maybe even longer at this point, 13 years. At CloudShare, I lead the development and execution of marketing strategy to support our organizational growth, market positioning, and to help build scalable pipeline. But the real star here today is my colleague, Michael. He's a solution engineer at CloudShare. So he helps customers get hands-on with virtual IT labs through product demos, POCs, and training environments. He has a background in cybersecurity and helping companies evaluate the tools needed to protect their environment. So now at CloudShare, he helps us with sandboxing, security training solutions, L&D. He's a man of many trades. And outside of work, he enjoys time outdoors and time with Fiona, his cat. So before we dive in, we wanted to share this, why we're here, because active learning has been shown to improve performance and reduce failure rates. And that's the goal, right? When you're doing a learning and development training program, you want to increase the people who are completing the program and completing it completing it competently, and reducing failure rates so that they do their job better and you have better retention and all of those good things. So Michael's going to walk you through a real practice environment, show you what it looks like from the instructor's view and the learner's perspective. So you'll see firsthand what training programs miss when they rely on content alone and what changes when hands-on practice becomes part of the curriculum. So while he's setting up the demo that he's going to be presenting, if you could, I know some of you have already started to do this, but say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you've used a virtual lab before. And as Liz said, if you have any questions throughout, you can put them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. So I think that's everything. Michael looks like he's all set here, so I'll hand it off to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby, for the fantastic intro. Much appreciated. Hello, everyone. Today, I'll be giving you a live look at our hands-on virtual lab. This is going to support two training formats from a single platform. So we're going to be doing the instructor side, and we'll also be looking at the learner side. So there's three things to watch for. Watching a learner complete a real task from start to finish. We want to see how AI gives instant help without interrupting the flow of the instruction. And we'll also see how participants can prove that they can apply knowledge and not just pass the test with visual checks. Please, as Abby said, drop questions in the chat as we go. We will have some time for Q&A. We may take live questions, but we'll most certainly address your questions at the end of the session. So I'll keep today tight given our 30 minutes, and we'll start with the learner's view. And that's really one of the strong points of today's topic, since that's where competency actually gets built. And then we'll do a quick pass at the instructor view so you can see how a teacher or admin keeps tabs on learning and not just clicks. All right, let's get started. So Mary is a student in an experience or class. There are a variety of ways she could have ended up in a CloudShare application. So maybe she received an email. In this case, she did. She received an email from CloudShare generated with credentials and an invite to the class. She could have come in through a learning management system if you already have content there for students and just want to jump into CloudShare for the hands-on piece. She could have also scanned a QR code. And we do support secure sign-on and all those security frameworks across every entry point. Let's go ahead and click the Access button and get started. So we're going to go ahead and log in. And we do have some branding on that welcome page. And you'll notice things like logos and branding and colors, and you can change all those things so that you can have that experience customized toward that look and feel that you desire. Now, across the top of the screen, you're going to see a welcome message as well as your VM. In this instance, it's Windows 11 Pro. This is Mary's environment. If we wanted, we could have machines set up behind the scenes like servers or a client server application that the student does not see, but still plays a role in the entire experience. In this case, the student's hands-on environment can consist of one machine, but it could be 10 machines with multiple applications for a student to train on. This is the machine that Mary can jump into to complete an exercise. If you're already in your LMS studying content and you just want to jump into one of these machines, you can do that directly. One thing to mention is CloudShare's LMS integration works in such a way where it's built to launch CloudShare Labs from an LMS course. So think via learning tools interoperability or a direct API call URL, and that'll push completion scores and data back to your LMS gradebook. Let's talk a little bit about what we're looking at inside the platform. So now in the left, there's going to be an expandable menu with various things. The first thing we can look at is resources. So these are going to be things such as PDF files, PowerPoints. It could be Google Forms, a video URL, complete documents, documentations, and links that you want alongside what we call our guided journey, which is what we'll get into in a second. Here is your guided journey. So one thing to mention about the guided journeys is this is going to be your step-by-step documentation guide. It's built directly in the system. You can also upload it. So if you have a PDF, you can convert it to a markdown file and import it as part of the guided journey. It's fully and collapsible and movable, so learners can work on one monitor and keep instructions on other. So if I go full screen, I still have access to my guided journey. I can still click through and complete the steps I need to. Now down here, there is going to be a floating toolbar, and I'll pull that up to show you. And within this floating toolbar, this is where Solus, our AI participant, lives. And it's an always-on AI chat. It's embedded right there in the learner's view. So if Mary gets stuck, doesn't have to break the class's flow or wait for the instructor to be free, she simply asks Solus by clicking the box and then asking a question. So in this case, I asked if I could create an environment from a blueprint, and it's giving me instructions, and it's also giving me the steps to get started and complete that. So that's something to keep in mind. And this is based upon the materials that the instructor uploads. So it will stay accurate to the course by utilizing that information. Also, if Mary needed some help, she could raise her hand so she can hit assist me to get some assistance. Or maybe there is an instructor that's available at the moment, so we just want to go ahead and communicate with them and do a personal chat directly to that instructor. There's also the possibility to have a group chat where you could have multiple students collaborating, working together, communicating on the experience that you created for them. Now, let's talk a little bit about another subject as well. I'm going to close out a few of these open prompts. And let's talk a little bit about application of knowledge, and we can talk about the visual checks. So right here, there was some instructions to navigate to use.cloudshare.com, enter in a username and password, and then hit return. So what the system actually did was it ran a visual comparison, against the reference image, and it gave instant correct or incorrect feedback. So in this case, because I did do the steps correctly, it was able to do a check and verify that I did pass this section. And like a guided journey, there's going to be multiple sections within it. So that pretty much wraps up a little bit of an explanation of what it looks like to be on the learner side. What I'd like to do now is flip over and show you the instructor view. So let me go ahead and do that. And right now we're in the instructor view. We're actually in console mode. So now we're flipping into the instructor seat. And this is what they would do in and out, is live in this console mode, which is a live view of the entire class. There's a couple different things here. One, we can see that the hand raise is there from Mary, so we can mark it assist as done. We also may have things like live thumbnails to see what the actual student is doing, what they're completing within their environment. There's also going to be a scoreboard, so you'll know who's joined, who's dropped, and who's behind. You'll also know a guided journey tracker, which will tell you things like who's on which chapter, who has passed a particular checkpoint or maybe failed one. And then also, there's a couple interesting things here. If I'm teaching and let's say a student's having a difficult time that some of the other students are having, what we can do is we can actually go ahead and just zoom into this system, and we could actually take control. So we would do that by taking action, and we would enable input. And what this does is this gives us control of the actual student's machine. And then what we could do is actually share that with the rest of the class. So maybe that person's stuck on a particular step in the guided journey. Now I'm going into their machine, I'm enabling input, I'm completing the step for them while the entire class is viewing what I'm doing. And then we can return back and continue on. Get out of this mode. And then the next thing I'd like to talk about is going to be actually analytics. And this is really at the heart of today's topic. So what are in-class analytics? You're going to get things from a bird's eye view. So you're going to know things like, is someone stuck on a particular chapter? Is one exercise consistently taking longer than its expected time? So the system is really tracking these response time stats for how fast instructors are resolving hand raises, and we're also keeping an eye on the student's progress through every checkpoint. So this means you're not just looking at, did they finish a course? You can see in real time whether the class is actually absorbing the material, where they're stuck, or if they're moving too fast for a particular section, or if there's a particular checkpoint where they're just failing across the board. And that usually means that the content needs you to look back at it, and this is less involved with the learner. So you're getting a direct answer to what the completion percentage alone can really is unable to tell you. Another thing I would like to show you is going to be our dashboards. So I'm going to pull that up. And we do have these dashboards. These are CloudShare's analytics. This is more in depth than what you just currently saw. You're going to get a live view of consumption of every environment, things such as user hours, storage, and RAM. So you'll know exactly how your labs are performing and where your investment is going. And to just kind of bring it all together, I just want to mention what we saw today. So we saw Mary. Mary was given a real task in a real environment. She was sent an email. She was able to pop into CloudShare and access her virtual machine. Solus was there to assist when she was stuck by using that AI chatbot. A visual check was able to prove that she actually did the step correctly within the guided journey. On the instructor side, you have the console mode where you can see analytics. You can see exactly if the class is succeeding or if they're struggling. And this is live. This is not after the fact. So that's the difference between a completion rate and real competency data. So this does wrap up the session with CloudShare. One thing that I can't fully dive in today that I'd like to mention is our architecture. So that is worth mentioning. That's really our bread and butter. So right here, you can see there are 3 machines listed. However, if I wanted to add an additional VM, I could go and do so. I have this pre-built library with all these various VMs, and I can select and add additional ones if I wanted to. But that's really something I wanted to show you. So whether it's spinning up something simple or complex, so let's say a fully networked VM environment with multiple server pieces and nodes, it's easy to do. It'll be reusable across your entire team. Every learner prospect is going to get their own dedicated copy, and there'll be a hands-on experience for them. So one thing to mention is that if you do want to see more of this environment and how we put things together, or you want a deeper personalized walkthrough with a specific use case, feel free to scan a QR code that I'm going to pull up now. And if you scan this QR code, this will allow you to book a full demo with our team. I do appreciate everyone joining today. Recording and slides will follow by email, and I appreciate everyone's time today. And I will pass it back to Abby.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Well, yes, like Michael said, if you want to book a demo, get something set up personalized so you can see use cases for your team, go ahead and scan that QR code. I think the main thing we want to, before we dive into the Q&A, one of the main points that we really want everyone to go home with from this session is that obviously certifications and completing programs and all that is a super important piece of L&D. But when you pair that, as Michael mentioned, we can integrate with LMSs and different programs. When you pair that with this hands-on experience, you can really see how people are not just checking the boxes and passing a test, because that's important too. But here you can see how they can actually apply that knowledge and make sure that they are, as the title says, make sure that they're not just completing the assignment, but actually competent in what you're working on teaching them or training them in. So a few Q&As for you, Michael. For the AI assistant, does the documentation, so let's say we have a global team, do we have to upload the documentation in every single language, or can we just upload it in one language and then the user can ask questions in their preferred language and get a result?
Great question, Abby. So documentation does not need to be fed into the repository in multiple languages. So we do provide multilingual support within our labs, and that is real time, and that can be changed in real time.
Awesome. Can individual accounts be extended if they miss a day or two of the class?
Sure. Yeah. So extending individual student accounts, that's not a problem. Instructors can select specific students in the instructor console, and they can extend that environment. And this is repeatable, and it's bounded by the environment's policy limit. So long as that is set up correctly, yeah, it's very easy to extend this student's account and access.
Awesome. Can lab environments be copied to other parts of the world easily?
Yes. So copying environments to other regions is pretty easy because we do have data centers in the US East, we have some in Europe and Asia Pacific. And so they can be exported and copied across different regions.
Cool. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, we'll hop in and ask this one. If you use let me read it first so that I can make sure. Okay, this is from Institute on Aging. If you use a third-party LMS and a SCORM file like Articulate is used for progress on completion, does it look at individual chapters, or is individual chapters must be uploaded into CloudShare to see the chapter completion?
Yeah, so from my understanding, there isn't an import feature right now for SCORM packages, but if there's some specific UK use case that really requires that, that's something that I urge you to scan the QR code on the PowerPoint, right, and schedule a call with us so we can dig deeper and see what your specific use case is and how we can accommodate it.
Yep, totally. Another couple more questions. Let's see.
Sure.
Can you combine applications running in the cloud with VMs running on your infrastructure in a single environment? A little more technical than we were diving into, but
Yes, absolutely, Abby. So the way that we would do that is utilizing external cloud resources. So we can use things like Terraform scripts and what we like to call BYOA, which is bring your own Azure, or a single organization of AWS account setups. And we can definitely mix that in so you can have a hybrid environment where you're having some of our pre-built machines or virtual machines, as well as some of those external cloud resources as well.
awesome. And then a question that Everyone wants to know, is pricing impacted by creating multiple environments or complex environments with multiple machines and networks?
Yes, great question. Another good one that I'm sure folks are curious about. So CloudShare markets a flat rate model. So it's not per VM or network changes, but there is still a calibrated overall resource consumption and usage hours, which is quote based. So exact costs for a given prospect will need to be confirmed with sales.
Yeah, totally. Of course, we're going to put in that disclaimer. They'd kill us if we didn't. Um,
Right.
okay, so if there are no more questions, Michael, I know I'm sort of putting you on the spot here. Was there anything else that
Sure.
you wanted to dive deep into since we have a few more minutes left?
Sure. I mean, if we wanted to, we could take a little more at the architecture, which is something that I personally enjoy
Sure, yeah,
going
let's
over.
dive in. We'll give
Okay.
everybody a little bonus, a little extra here.
Awesome. Give me a moment here. Okay, so this is my environment page. And something that I like to show here that I think is pretty impressive is how easy it is to create one. So here we have a couple options. We can choose an environment template. So maybe you have a predefined blueprint. A blueprint is a name for what we give for our reusable experience that we create. Starts out as what we call a snapshot. So a snapshot is taking a picture of all of your environment as it's been pre-configured. So you don't have to continue to set that up every time. And then once you give it a name, it becomes what we call a blueprint. Now, if you wanted to just create one from scratch, you could do that. You would create a custom environment. You'd want to choose a policy for it. So in this case, your policy is going to dictate several things. So we're going to say, how long is the experience going to run for? So in this case, my default is 14 days. I'll have 30 days of storage, meaning that any of that data that happens in that actual experience on the back end, I will be continuing to review it after the class has ended. Maybe I need to do some scoring or something along those lines. And then the last one is going to be your suspension. So while you're using the VMs, there's going to be times where the student or the operator steps away, and there's no sense in having that resource continue to run. So what we'll do is we'll actually suspend it after an hour of non-usage. You can reduce that time dependent on your specific use case. I did mention the different data centers earlier. So depending on your region, you're going to want to select yours. I'll select Miami. And then this is where we can go ahead and select our machines. So if we wanted to, we could add Ubuntu, we could add Windows Server, we could also add a Kali Linux. And then we can adjust this as well. So if we want more RAM, if we want a better CPU, more performance, we can do that, not only prior, but after the fact. And then if we needed some external services, maybe like AWS, we could connect that there. And in any case, I'm going to confirm and save the environment. And that's it. I have access to all these. I'm not going to some data center to host something on a rack and then license it and then install the software on it. It's here, it's ready, and it's available. So it's going to take a little while for it to spin up and be completely prepared. But that's just kind of a quick glimpse into how easily you can create an environment and then access it and tweak it from there and then make it reusable across departments and help your team to be more productive and allow them to use it as well.
Some,
So,
thank you. Sorry,
sure, just a small preview,
yep,
just a
keep going.
small preview, but it can get a lot more in depth, and there is the ability to add in servers and nodes and edit names, hide VMs from students. There really is a lot of customization that you can do to ensure that you have the exact experience that you want for your students, or it could be for another vertical like a prospect or a POC.
Cool, thank you. And I
You're so
know
welcome.
it's always a little different when you're sharing your screen, but how long does it typically take the environments to spin up? I know a lot of our customers talk about how quickly it typically happens.
Yeah, for the initial creation, depending on how many VMs you have, it can be in minutes. So just a minute, 2 minutes. It really depends on how many VMs you're loading. And then when it's actually suspended and there's a student that's going back to access it, it's it's super quick. So I can see if this one has timed out to show you. Um, well, it's still alive, but if this was asleep, you would see how quickly the VM would be woken up, taken from that suspension state to be used again by the student. So it's that one is like flick of your fingers. So it really is fast. It really is efficient. I'm messing around all day in the demo environments and testing, and it is very effective.
And then I think you may have answered, I don't know if you answered this question. Oh, we talked about easily copying lab environments for other regions, but it's also very quick for an instructor to spin up a new lab environment, like if you did multiple cohorts or things like that, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So there's the ability to duplicate. So for example, if you were to build out, let's say, a really robust infrastructure and you didn't want to do that again, that is something where you can just duplicate the environment and then you could make those necessary changes so that you're not having to rewrite the wheel every time. And again, you could also scale this out if there were other people on your team or other departments who wanted to use a similar environment or architecture, then they could duplicate it, reuse it, and um, continue to do that going forward.
Very cool. And I'll just add too that we have our quarterly product release is coming up in mid-September. So we're going to be launching some even more really interesting AI features. So Solace will you'll be able to do even more with Solace besides just ask questions about the materials that have been put in for the course. We're doing some other feature optimizations and things like that. So we're really excited. It's a really exciting time at CloudShare as we continue to, AI is changing the world and it's changing how we train and how we do demos and sales enablement and all of the things. So we're really excited about that. And that'll be coming in mid-September. So again, if you want to scan the QR code, book a demo, we'll possibly, I'm going to throw this out there, we may be able to show you a sneak peek of some of our upcoming features. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. If you have any other questions as we wrap up here, but I think as I say that, I'm just making sure nobody's dropping anything in the chat, but I think we're good, Liz, if you want to hop back on and take us home.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you both so much. I wholeheartedly agree. And yeah, if you have any questions, I know sometimes virtual events. Oh, okay. I was about to say, oh, was that a question? I'm on the same page. I'm like, oh, chat. But please reach out to both of these gentlemen and women. They're amazing, so kind. So if you have any questions, but also scan the QR code for the demo. But thank you both so much for today's session. We have one more
Thank you
break,
so much.
everybody, and all that. But thank you both so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So for everyone else, the CloudShare team is so kind, giving us a little bit more extra time for our break. So roughly about, let's say, quick math, about 16, 17 minutes. But up next, we do have Matt for their session sponsored by Admired Leadership, Scaling Executive Coaching Across Your Leadership Team. So I hope you all stick around for our next session, which will begin shortly. I will see you all there. Bye, everybody.